r/AskReddit, what the weirdest thing you did while you were high? Some girls in high school invited me to go smoke and swim in a creek with them. Of course I went to got high as fuck. Spent the next 30 minutes sitting in the creek. I was so still that a fish came up and bit my ass. I didn't realize what I was doing until one of the girls asked me why the fuck I was all alone sitting in the middle of a creek not moving. I was fucked up looking for my hotel in Atlantic City. Somehow got there and woke up the next morning to just hotel being in the search bar of my Spotify. That was my best effort. Man, I already liked Spotify, but I didn't know the premium version had service this good. Sign me up. One time my eye was really dry, so I stopped drinking my water and started slowly pouring water into my eye, all of it, while I was sitting on my friend's bed, leaving just a bit, so I could still have one gulp. Got up to leave my bedroom and knocked on the door before opening it to go out. I relate to this calm, polite kind of high. My friend is restless when he's high, so he was standing at the edge of the living room while most of our group was seated. I wanted to sit down too, but I ended up standing behind him because I thought we had to wait in a line to get into the living room. Every time I get stoned, I just want to confine myself to the smallest space possible. It's not a fear or anxiety thing. Stoned me genuinely feels more comfortable under a table or bed, or even inside a cardboard box. This one time. Are you a cat? I started to get random sensations all over my body. The inside of my left thigh was getting really warm, and I had to keep checking every few minutes to see I hadn't pissed myself. Went to let the dog out, and I walked out instead and left my dog inside. Made a cup of tea with cold water and proceeded to put the entire concoction into the microwave. When I discovered that the door wouldn't close because the mug was too big, I tipped a bit of water from the mug and tried again. How big was this fucking mug? One time years ago I was camping at a campground with my wife and a few friends. We are all sitting around the fire drinking. Her brother and I go for a walk to smoke some joints. We finish that and I have to piss, so he goes back to the group. And when I'm done I head back as well. So I get back and I'm pretty baked at this point, and I'm just standing there watching the fire and drinking my beer for a few minutes. I then noticed a particular Coleman lantern on the picnic table and thought to myself, I don't remember us having one of those here. It was at that point that I realized I was standing at the wrong damned campsite amongst a bunch of people I have never met, while my group was watching from the next site over, laughing and wondering WTF I was doing. The strangers have a much scarier version of the same exact story. One time years ago I was camping at a campground with my wife and a few friends. We are all sitting around the fire drinking. Her brother and I go for a walk to eating yogurt with a fork in front of my parents. My dad waited for about 10 minutes to say that a spoon might make it easier. I just imagine a slightly disappointed look on your father's face as he leans against the counter watching you attempt this and wondering if he should say anything. Went to White Castle to get food for everyone after we smoked. We all had the same order, 2 double cheese sliders and an order or mozzarella sticks. When I gave her my order I didn't just say that I wanted 8 double cheese sliders in total. I repeated the 2 double cheese sliders and mozzarella sticks 4 times. By the time I got to the end of my order the cashier sounded so defeated. I still cringe thinking back to that moment, but it's also one of my funniest smoke stories. A few years ago I was on shrooms with some friends and we went on a walk to smoke a cig. Every time I took a puff of my cigarette, I was expecting to taste Mountain Dew, and I was disappointed every time that it didn't. I quit smoking cigs a few days after that. One time I came back inside from a back porch smoke and put my lighter in the sink. My reasoning was I'll put it in the dishwasher later. Was watching a Korean drama when I had a whole freak out when I realized holy shit, I suddenly understand Korean. I woke my BF up and made him watch with me as I translated for him. He laughed at me for 5 minutes before he told me I was actually just reading the subtitles. It's not that weird, but I get really weird sensations when in high. Other people probably get it too, but I just don't know how to describe it. But one time I was just rubbing my leg a little because I was cold and my friend was sitting next to me. So then I was like, Well, I can feel my hand and I can feel my leg. I wonder if I can feel hers. So I rubbed her leg and was like, wow, I can't feel it, and I didn't really understand why. My friend just laughed at how stupid I was. LMAO. Used my phone torch to find my phone in the dark. Did you find it? He's still searching, my dude. His torch died and the phone is charging now. Meanwhile he is looking with matches. I thought that if I became rich, I'd keep all my money in pennies to prevent people from stealing it. Also once tried roasting a hot dog with no stick, just holding the wiener in my hand over an open flame. It did not work. It didn't work cause you didn't try hard enough. Blew on my cereal to cool it down. Hey, you can never be too careful. The very first time I got high, my lovely friend told me you'll know when you've had enough, so of course I smoked a ton. When I wasn't moving, it felt like time had stopped. I had no idea what was going on. If I moved though, I was completely fine. I ended up dancing to no music by myself as long as I could before I went to sleep. I think I went to sleep anyway. Time wasn't working. I may have just laid there for 8 hours. Spent 45 minutes looking for my glasses with my friend. Said fuck it BC, I had to leave and was now running late. When I went to put on my sunglasses, I smashed them onto my glasses. I had my glasses on my fucking face the whole time and neither myself or my friend noticed. That's on him 100%. Ordered food for delivery. Forgot. Went to grocery store for stuff to BBQ. Remembered about the food for delivery while paying in line. Did you buy the stuff anyways? Don't remember. It's been a long time. Or maybe it's only been 20 minutes and you're still waiting for your food. Freaked out that I'd lost my iPad somewhere on the way to the train station. I got off the train and went back, retracing my steps all the way back to my apartment, only to realize that I was listening to music the whole time on my iPad. I do that without being high. Completely freaked out because everyone around me was speaking a foreign language and I couldn't understand anything. Note to self, don't get high in a foreign country. Did this in Amsterdam. Not so bad if they can speak your language and a common understanding that tourists will be high. I had a blast. Went with a bunch of friends to the Van Gogh Museum on shrooms. 10/10ths would do it again. I was thinking about how great my friends are and how pretty they are and decided I should talk to myself like that too. So I tried on all these clothes I feel self-conscious in and gave myself a bunch of compliments. This is adorable. Did it help? It really did. I was thinking about how great my friends are and how pretty they are and decided I should talk to myself like that too. So I tried on all these clothes I feel self-conscious in and gave myself a bunch of compliments. I ate mushrooms by myself and some guy dropped off pizza at my house, so I signed for it. Only thing is, I didn't order any pizzas. My boyfriend came home and said, you ordered pizza? It had been sitting on the table for hours. I thought I dreamt it. Whoops. The guy came to the very wrong house. But I did tip him handsomely, so I did the right thing. In no particular order, woke up to the remote control for the TV inside of the fridge from the night before let out of autoplay for so long that I was eventually watching fire truck drag racing and everyone's favorite watched hours upon hours of the Yule log TV show with my friends. So much that we knew when the hand was going to come into the scene to move the logs around. Everyone leaves this thread to search for fire truck drag racing. Google Analytics has to love us. WTF, why are fire truck drag racing and cowgirl costumes suddenly popular? The dumbest thing I've done while I was high was think my bowl of cereal was my phone and just tossed the whole bowl, milk, cereal, spoon, onto my bed. That was a fucking mess. The first time I smoked keef was my 21st birthday after already drinking way too much. The fade was so intense that I couldn't walk. My friends put me in my bed, but for some reason I felt the need to not be in my room. So with my non-functioning legs, I crawled on my elbows down the hall and down a staircase to an empty bedroom where I laid on the floor in the dark for 30 minutes. Then I got uncomfortable laying on the ground, so I miraculously regained control of my legs and managed to remove the door to the bedroom to lay on. Pretty solid mattress, if you like yours firm. Back in college, I got super baked with friends. Like almost non-verbal, tunnel vision stoned. We went to this donut place near campus, Ken's Donuts if anyone is familiar with the Austin area. I was staring at the counter full of donuts. I felt like I was standing there for like a minute quietly humming and thinking. Apparently, it was closer to 10 minutes, and I was loudly humming the theme song to Jurassic Park over and over again. For some reason we were listening to it on the drive over, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I laughed my ass off multiple times while eating the donuts after the whole standing/humming like a moron thing I was doing. The first time I got high, the first thing my friend asked me was, "How are you feeling?" And I just sat there for about 45 seconds thinking to myself, I'm just so relaxed, everything is so still, before I said to them, "Yoo, I'm a plate." Buddy of mine started petting the TV remote like a cat. Sometimes you just need a friend. Set my voicemail message to "I'm so high right now." That's how my entire family learned I smoked weed. I was trying to set my voicemail box up, but gave up. Cried after watching the selfie music video from Chainsmokers. I once walked in on my mother crying over a cat food commercial. I was on acid at a music festival and asked a cop if he would name a hurricane after me. Fortunately he thought that was funny. This one time I was coming up morning of date to Coachella and had just gotten to the bank of lockers where our group's stuff was stored. I was reaching and reaching for the locker, but just couldn't get to it, and the key wouldn't go in. My friend walks up to me, grabs the key out of my hand, and I swear in one step traverses the distance of a football field and unlocks the door. Turns out the hit had just hit me like a freight train, and I was on my hands and knees in the grass about 6 feet from the locker with my arm outstretched trying to insert the key. Depth perception, man. That was a great day. Standing by the sink, weeping as I tore into the most juicy and delicious whole ripe mango. In my mind I thought it was some sort of alien creature, and it was giving its life in exchange for my pleasure. I thought it was the most beautiful selfless act anything had ever done for me, and was overcome by emotion. I must have looked like a goddamn weirdo, but it was still a beautiful moment. Edit. I remember a roommate coming into the kitchen and asking what was wrong, because I was crying and whispering thank you to the fruit. I was holding my cat next to the sink and somehow he just looked like he really wanted to get in the sink and take a bath. So I turned on the water just a trickle and edged him closer and closer to the faucet, whispering to him, "Hey buddy, don't you wanna take a dip?" In my mind he totally did and was just too nervous to admit it. In real life, he's a cat and cats don't like water. So if you could have looked in on this scene you would have seen me high as hell, murmuring to the cat and trying to dunk him in the sink. All the while he is frantically clawing me to shreds trying to escape, and I'm not noticing in my single-minded pursuit of finally letting him experience water. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes and silvers, pals. Here's a chunks to himself.